Good evening. My name is Zia, and this is Crypto Polaris. Welcome back to another episode of Crypto Polaris. Today, we are going to talk about MetaPlanet and what is their ultimate game plan. So, why don't we talk about MetaPlanet? There's lots to talk about MetaPlanet, and I'm going to give you a brief overview about what is MetaPlanet, who is MetaPlanet, all of that, and really dive into why the shares have been so depressed lately and what they're doing about this. And lots to talk about and very elaborate price prediction that I'm going to go through. So, without any further ado, let's look at the agenda as always. So, that keeps me on track more so than anybody else. So, what is MetaPlanet? As I said, I'm going to reintroduce you MetaPlanet quickly. Just bear with me. But in a nutshell, MetaPlanet is just like MicroStrategy or strategy. And I'll explain some of the differences as I go into that. And what is wrong with MetaPlanet? MTPLF is the ticker symbol that trades here in US, and 3350 is what this Japanese stock exchange trades it as for MetaPlanet in Japan, because MetaPlanet is Japanese-based company. And then after that, talk about how they're going to get to 210,000 BTC by 2027. And in order to do that, the next two bullet points, which I'm going to go through with a lot of painstaking ways to explain to you what they're up to. And that is going to give you some understanding of why the shares have been down lately. And hopefully, after you watch this, you'll have some fundamental understandings and the reasons behind why the shares are depressed right now. Remember, I'm an investor. I don't trade these things in and out. I look at the fundamentals. As long as the fundamentals are sound, I revalidate that fundamental. And I just did that as part of this video making. And I'm going to share that with you. All right. And then go through this whole complex, elaborate price prediction. All of that is going to require you to understand what I'm about to tell you. So when we look at the price prediction, it will make sense to you. All right, so let's go to what is MetaPlanet. I've got a lot of videos that do deep dive into MetaPlanet, and I will link that for you so you can see. But in a nutshell, MetaPlanet was not a Bitcoin treasury company, just like MicroStrategy was not a Bitcoin treasury company. MicroStrategy used to be, still is, a software technology company in business analytics. In the case of MetaPlanet, they're based in Japan. They are in hotel operation. They still do that, but they converted into Bitcoin treasury just a couple of years ago. And they went head in to buy Bitcoin just like MicroStrategy. It is a publicly traded company based in Japan. They really got into this last year, maybe a year and a half now almost, July of 2024. He, meaning the CEO and the founder, his name is Simon, which I'm going to touch on next, is a carbon copy of Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor constantly tweets and retweets what MetaPlanet is doing. So what MicroStrategy is doing from US, MetaPlanet is doing the same thing based out of Japan. And it's very important for you to understand because Japan's economy is in dreadful situation. And MetaPlanet is a vehicle that allows the Japanese people to actually invest in something that is actually appreciating tremendously, as opposed to buying local stocks and shares. All right. And then they've got an ambitious goal by 2027. They want to own 210,000 Bitcoin. And I'll walk you through that in my price prediction. And of course, they've raised so far a lot of this money, $5.4 billion, and you'll see some of that in my price prediction. So let's keep going here. This is the guy you want to know, Simon. And he is a Harvard graduate, started MetaPlanet, and he is literally following the blueprint of Michael Saylor. All right. He used to work for Goldman Sachs, and he was inspired by Michael Saylor to do the same thing based in Japan. And this is going to be quite interesting for us to keep looking at it. So guys, in order for me to prepare for this video, I've done a deep dive into all their latest investors' disclosures, and this is what I have found. And I want to make sure you understood this because fundamentally they're doing all of these things in anticipation of really growing the share value of this company. Okay, so September 2nd, September 2nd, they had a shareholders vote where they have increased their authorized share of MetaPlanet from 1.2 billion to 2.723 billion. It's very important to understand because he is setting this up just like Michael Saylor went from few hundred million to 10.33 billion. Okay? Michael Saylor has authorized shares for MicroStrategy, and I've done another video, is 10 billion. So in the case of MetaPlanet, their shares outstanding right now is 722 million out of that 1.2 billion, which they now just increased based on this shareholders agreement on September 2nd. So keep this in mind. This is going to be important as we go through all of this. Next, you need to read this very carefully. Just a few days ago, about a week ago, they've made some changes. They now are going to go after the international fundraising. Okay, so this is part of their disclosures. And let me go to the second page, which I've highlighted for you, that as part of their 555 plan, which means they're going to sell 555 million shares. Okay, let me repeat that. They currently have 722 million outstanding. They've already authorized 1.27 billion, so they're tapping out. That is why the previous slide I showed you raised their authorization from 1.2 to 2.7 billion. I hope you're staying with me here. I don't want to make it very complicated, but now they're taking that 555 million, as you can see here, and the international underwriters are underwriting this. Okay, initially they're going to do 180 million, and shortly thereafter, they're going to do 375 million share. The underwriters are going to buy it, and then they will be selling it into the market. So let me explain to you what is the money that MetaPlanet is going to get. All right. So this is the continuation of the previous page. If you look in the bottom, you'll see when they sell 180 million shares to the underwriter, they will raise about 130 billion yen, which translates to about 887 million USD, which is going to be in the next slide that I'm going to show you. So let me break it down for you, because what I've done is given you a lot of words. It can get very confusing. But this is a spreadsheet that I created to be able to summarize what I just talked about. All right, so look on the upper left-hand side where it says share authorized or shares authorized. Back in August of 25, there were 1.2 billion shares authorized. Of those, right now today, 722 million shares are outstanding. That means it's in the float plus the insiders hold 722 million shares. And then to the right is 555 million. So if we add these two, it takes you to 1.277 billion shares. That means they're tapped out. That is why September 2nd of this year, they've increased it from 1.27 billion to 2.723 billion. Hopefully you're tracking me, right? That means they are now going to have additional 1.4 billion that they can play with. So let's talk a little bit about, out of the 555 plan, they have two tranches. Tranche number one is the second box that I have here, where international offering number one. This really starts, tomorrow is the 8th, I believe. It starts on Tuesday. On the 9th, 10th, and 11th, the underwriters are going to buy at a certain price, which I've calculated here, the 180 million shares. They're going to underwrite 180 million shares and they'll write a check to MetaPlanet. If you do the calculation, funds raised in yen, as I said, is approximately 130 billion. If you convert that into dollars, as of today, that's $884,700,000, which then translates to effective per share price. I apologize for the spelling of my word effective. I should really spell check these things. So they're actually selling it to the underwriter for $4.92 per share. That's really where the share is right now. And at the current price of Bitcoin, let's just say 111,000, that allows them to buy 7,970 Bitcoin. They're going to receive this money, by the way, on the 16th, 17th, and 18th of this month. So expect them to do heavy buying of Bitcoin because you want to buy Bitcoin when the Bitcoin price is low. So they received the money in three tranches, 16, 17, and 18, of about $884 million, which then will allow them to buy approximately 7,970 Bitcoins. Now, Zia, what about the rest of the 555 million? The remainder is 375 million, and they're going to underwrite that very soon, probably within next month or so. And then we'll have to recalculate how many shares they have to dilute this by. So let's just walk through all of these things and see what the price prediction will look like based on all of these numbers. So let me go over here. This may look very similar to you, just like the MicroStrategy, but I'm using the same template to talk about MetaPlanet. All right, so as other spreadsheets, 2025, I'm going to walk you through that. We're going to go through 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. You may wonder, why do I go all the way to 2030? That's because everyone is calling for Bitcoin to get to $1 million by 2030. So just like here, before I've shown you in my other videos, 2025, our current price is $111,000 per Bitcoin. By 2030, we're expecting it to go to about $1 million per share. So let's work these numbers into a spreadsheet to do price prediction for MetaPlanet. All right, so let's get back to this column where we're in 2025. Remember, I said the shares outstanding is 722 million shares. And the current price, when I looked this up, was $4.85. All right, based on all of that, their market cap is about 3.5 billion, but their enterprise market cap is 3.685 billion. You can double check this by going to MetaPlanet's, but that's roughly where it is today. All right. And they also currently hold 20,000 Bitcoin that just bought some last week. So at the current rate of 111,000 Bitcoin, that gives them net asset value of $2.2 billion. Okay. And their MNAV, everything is based on MNAV, guys, is 1.66. Remember in my other MicroStrategy video, MicroStrategy CEO says MicroStrategy's MNAV should dictate anywhere between 10x to 40x. And I'm not going to use that many numbers here. I'm going to limit it to 3.5x on MNAV as I do this price prediction with you. All right. So what is going to happen in 2026? Remember, they currently have 20,000 Bitcoin. They're supposed to get to 30,000 Bitcoin before this year is over. But let's just assume they don't buy it till 2026, which is an extremely conservative way of doing this. So they want to get to, by end of 2026, as they stated, 100,000 Bitcoin. In order to do that, they need to buy another 80,000 Bitcoin. So I did some calculation here. For them to buy another 80,000 Bitcoin, they have to raise $12 billion. They have to raise $12 billion. At what price? At the price of 150,000. Just like I use my MicroStrategy calculation, it's the same way here. At 150,000 average price, they will have to sell 750 million more shares. And that gives them $12 billion, which then allows them to buy their Bitcoin. And then what ends up happening is we go from 722 million outstanding shares. Here's your dilution. By 2026, you're going to have almost 5 billion shares outstanding. But fear not, because I believe the MNAV is going to be 2.5 by that time. Given it's 2.5, guess what the share price of MetaPlanet is? $42 per share. This is the magic of having Bitcoin as your net asset value plus the MNAV. It's as simple as that. Now, don't forget, just like MicroStrategy, MetaPlanet has a lot of plans to create lots of products and services around Bitcoin based in Japan and other places. So this is going to be quite interesting. At some point, maybe MicroStrategy will compete with MetaPlanet. Not sure, but I think that creates a new industry. You can't have an industry with one company. You have multiple companies in the same industry. All right? So maybe I should say MicroStrategy is the Apple and MetaPlanet is Android. Yeah, I tried. All right, let's keep going. So this is 2026. In 2027, they need to now go to 210. Remember, they stated in their disclosures that they want to get to 210,000 Bitcoin by 2027. Let's use the same formula here. How the heck are they going to buy another 110,000 Bitcoin. Because they have 80,000, they need to buy another 110,000 Bitcoin. In order to do that, let me make sure my math is right. Yes, my math is correct. So in order to do that, they need to raise another mind-boggling number of $30 billion. Because now the Bitcoin price is 275 on average. The year should end at 339. So in order to buy that many Bitcoin, they're going to have to raise $30 billion. It's very doable, guys. It's mind-boggling, but it's quite doable. Then when that happens, their shares outstanding will go to 2.6. Remember, they've authorized it to 2.7. So they still have some shares. They may authorize even more. So keep that in mind. So 2.6. So I am taking into account the dilutions of the shares. And at that time, their share price becomes $85 per share in 2027 using the MNAV of 3. All right? So I'm done explaining how I get 2026, 2027. So let's look at 2028. They then have a share value of $75. Their dilution remains the same because I'm not allowing them to buy anymore in my model, as if they're not going to buy anymore, but they could buy more. So in 2029, you can see the share price is 104. And then in 2030, their share price is $170. Now let's look at the enterprise value of the company, all right? So in 2030, their enterprise value is $454 billion. In 2029, $279 billion. In 2028, $199 billion. 2027, $227 billion. And then over here is $62 billion in 2026. Currently, they're sitting at $3.6 billion. These are mind-boggling numbers. But as the value of Bitcoin increases toward $1 million, these numbers change dramatically. This is the magic of the glitch in the system that Michael Saylor and Simon and many others have figured out. And this is where the traditional finance clashes with the new finance that is being created. And the underpinning of the new finance is Bitcoin. So guys, so let's recap. Right now we're at 2025, $4.85, $42 by end of 2026, $85 by end of 2027, $75 by end of 2028, and $104 by end of 2029, and $170 by end of 2030. So what have we learned here? We've learned a lot here that MetaPlanet is a company to be reckoned with. They want to get to 210,000 Bitcoin. They are doing a lot of changes under the hood. So do not be depressed. No underwriter is going to underwrite day after tomorrow for $1 billion if this company wasn't doing well. They are the ones that actually do the due diligence, okay? You and I just hear about this secondhand. We accept what they say. So there's no free money. Tens of billions of dollars are being raised by MicroStrategy. And I should say fives of billions of dollars are being raised by MetaPlanet. And it's going to only increase. So guys, these are just fundamental things that I am regurgitating for you. I've done my own due diligence. This is not financial advice. You should do your own due diligence. You guys are here to hear my opinion. And I encourage you to look into MetaPlanet, understand what they're trying to do, and see if this is something you would consider investing in. Guys, these are always high-risk stuff. There are no guarantees. But fundamentally, Bitcoin is changing our financial systems, which leads many of us to think about the future. If I were to invest $1,000 now, where would this money be? I did some calculation. Let me tell you, if you invested $1,000 in Bitcoin in 2012, today that would be worth $25 million. 13 years ago, had you invested $1,000 in Bitcoin, today it would be worth $25 million. Food for thought. In any case, thank you guys. If you liked what I had to say, give me a thumbs up, subscribe and like, and of course, DM me and comment. And I look forward to responding to every single comment as I always do. Take care. Have a great night. Thank you. Bye-bye.